8.
Yes.
With Nicole, I think that's 8. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for returning to finish up the work today. I think our recording already on? Thank you, Amy. Okay, so first things first is we're right on we're right at the number that we have to have in order to move ahead with the session. It's called a quorum. So there's 16 people, which means we must have 8 people online to do our work. And here's McCall. So now we have 9. So we're going to start out with a roll call this morning. So if we do move down to 7, we will have to end the session and reschedule that. So we're hoping to hold on to all of you folks. If anyone does plan to have to leave for some important reason, if you could let us know now so we can keep an eye on that. Anything we need to know? Okay, that sounds good. Okay, Amy or Claire, you want to take roll call, and then we're going to get right away into looking at that cross track.
Should I read out who I have signed up on the sign up sheet?
Yeah.
Okay, I have Nicole, Erin, Justine, Janelle, Christy, Marie, Jody, Clifton, and McCall
Okay.
for committee members.
Okay, thank you. And then you'll just add anyone who happens to pop on. I know we have some people coming a little later to check in with us. So, okay, so as promised yesterday, we're getting back into, we have consensus, which we will confirm for the literacy practices and K through 12, and we'll work on the glossary and finalize that today. But yesterday there was a request by the committee to see the, what's it called? The crossover, no. The
guidance
progression
documents.
No, the one where you were going to make a draft, not the final draft, but they wanted to see how that progressed through the grade levels. And I'm just not recalling what you referred to that.
The vertical alignment.
The vertical alignment, that's right. And so we agreed to give them some time to look through that document. I think if, we give maybe 10 or 15 minutes just to look through that document. And then I want to ask for, just if I'm going to call out those numbers for literacy, K-5, middle school and high school. And if anyone had anything they wanted to come back to, we'll do that now before we go to the glossary. So let's just take some time to look at that vertical alignment as we promised yesterday. And then we'll do the guidance document that Claire mentioned. She had pulled some things out. The recommendations for the guidance document, I should say. That's okay, Justine. We know you're here. Thank you. And I'm sure we can hear you if you click on. If not, just send us a chat. Okay, there's just a couple minutes left. Does anybody need more time to review this draft? And we don't have to come to consensus on this. This was just a request to have this this draft reviewed. So you could see your work from yesterday. If you need more time, just raise your hand. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move us ahead. Claire, you had a document for the guidance documents. Do you want to help people understand what this is? And I think that Clifton had requested to make some comments also
Yes.
around this. So, and then
I
I see
will.
Marie's hand is up. Is this for the guidance documents, Marie? No, is it
I
for
caught
the alignment?
Yeah, I caught something in alignment I wanted to bring up.
Okay, let's go back and look at that then before we move to guidance.
Yeah, so if you look at reading foundations on the decoding for everybody, it's RFA, the one that goes all the way K. Thank you. I did notice that in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade is the only area we kept accurately in there still for decoding. Everywhere else we removed it. So I didn't know for consistency's purposes if we wanted to keep accurately or have that not in that one. So row 14 there.
Any comments from the committee for Marie's inquiry?
I guess I'm curious to go back to the rule to see our discussion. So I might just need a second to go back and look at the discussion around that word.
Okay.
So Marie, can I just ask a clarifying question while Erin's doing that? When I look at line 14, I see accurately in the middle school and high school. But then what I just saw up on the screen, am I maybe in the wrong link? Maybe I'm looking at the wrong.
It was
link.
later on in there. Yep, you're right. However, we do have a split 6th grade up and K5. So I think regardless, like just consistency would be good, but
I actually sort of like the building in accurately because in our younger, like we don't want kids to feel like they have to be accurate when they're trying and learning and things. So I'm okay with having accurately a little bit later on in the grades, but that's just my thought on that.
Other comments from the committee? And just keep in mind a head nod is, I can see you visually, but it won't be on the record. So your verbal comments are helpful to this group. Jody? Oh, we'll have to unmute you.
I am kind of leaning into kind of what Christy said and would agree there, because we're still kind of building that foundational skill with our young ones. By the time they're 6th grade, I would think that they would have most of those built, and so I would want to see more accuracy at that point. So I would agree that I think we could leave the accurately for middle school on, and just kind of keep our younger students in that foundational place, going forward.
I agree.
I agree
Janelle?
as well.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay. Okay, so I'm not seeing any proposal for change, and it seems like there's a lot of, so unless there's need for further conversation around that. Erin, your hand's up? Is this different or the same?
Still in the vertical alignment. I have a question.
Okay.
Let's see, it would be in line. It's further down from where we just were, and it also is decoding. don't know if it matters in the vertical alignment. If we switch, it's actually right there, line 18, where it goes decode and then decoding, and line 17 is decoding, decode. I know we did some work in simplifying, getting rid of some of the subparts, but I didn't know if that actually matters. I only found one area where it might matter in the rules, but the rest seems to make sense. I just didn't know if it matters in the vertical alignment document.
Give people a chance to look at that and then comment.
If we're only worried about it in the consensus package, then there's really only one spot that I found that might be concerning. Otherwise, it's not a big deal.
Marie.
I have a question on row 14 again.
Okay, so I think, Erin, what I hear you saying that you have that noted. So when we go through the review, then you'll be able to call that up in the document, the rule that we are coming to consensus on, and you'll correct that. And you've said it out loud, so those who will be, because this is in draft form, so that is noted for who is going to work on this now. So Marie, let's look at line 14.
The reason I am sticking on this one still, I don't have my mind made up either way, and not mine to make up. But when we look at the research and we look at what students need to be proficient in their oral reading fluency, if they don't have an accuracy of over 95%, they're not going to get where they need to be in their decoding skill. So I'm really I'm sticking to either all of them need to be accurately, or just specificity of the fluency of the decoding within that moving sixth and on. And maybe it's just something that goes to guidance documents, but that research is just so strong on the accuracy component. So it's just sticking with me on oh, we either need it everywhere or not at all, or something that just quantifies that somewhere.
Okay, help her out here. Okay, Jody. We have to unmute.
Sorry, still morning, right?
Yeah.
I kind of agree with Marie. At the very least, I think putting the percentages into the guidance documents about, what the expectation is for accuracy and decoding for the younger students may be helpful for those looking at it. So at least they could see, it doesn't necessarily have to live there, but I like having access to that information for our teachers. So yeah, they're decoding, but I know that they need to be at 95%. So I think at the very least, I guess my proposal would be that we include that information in guidance, and then we can decide as a group if we want to put it with all of them, the accuracy piece, or how that wants to look. But I think at the very least, it needs to be in guidance about, what that research says.
Hey, Nicole.
Is this document our responsibility? I mean, obviously we can contribute, we can look it over, but is this document our responsibility to go through with a fine-tooth comb?
This one?
This vertical alignment is for review, but the things that they are calling out exist in the rule. And so this word for accuracy has a link to the guidance document within those rules. So Nicole, the conversation then would continue into this review that we'll do next. So you're right. We're not, you folks are not responsible to, it's in draft form, and you're not responsible to come to consensus, although what's on here is connected to the rule and the words in the rule. So that's what's happening right now. Thank you. That's a great question. Any other comments about, there's a couple of things in play here, is the using the word accuracy. So when we do the review, you'll have to make a decision. Do we want to add that to the K through 5, I think is what Marie said, and then have something in the guidance document that indicates there is a proposal to put something in the guidance document with still a gray area of, for discussion about, do we want each one K5 to also include the word accuracy or accurately? So that's where we're at right now with the committee. So I'd suggest that when we do the review, we have that discussion in the area for which we need to have them, which is that K5 review section. And then, is there anything else that comes up with your review of this vertical alignment that we want to catch when we do the rules review? Okay, so I'm going to turn this back over to Claire so you can talk about that guidance document. And these are recommendations that come from this committee.
So in that link that I put in the chat, I need to find it now. So yeah, these are recommendations that have come from this committee, but also from the task force regarding things that we'll need to include in those guidance documents. So right now I kind of have it broken down into just general things to make sure we include that are kind of applicable to all of the domains, and then into categories, literacy practices, reading, and I broke reading down into the foundational vocabulary and fluency, and then reading comprehension has its own section because it has more standards relatively. Writing, research and inquiry, and speaking and listening. And you'll see that in a lot of them, I started a grade in a half a parenthesis, because we hadn't completed through 12th grade. So I'll also go in and see where that language is applicable.
Okay, and so just keeping note that there is a proposal to add something to the document around guidance, and we'll finish that conversation when we are in that K5 dealing with both the word accurate as well as how that links to the guidance document. So let's just take I'm not gonna, probably not more than 5 minutes here, probably just 2 or 3 minutes to review this. And then Clifton, if you have any comments, I want to make sure there's space for you to make those here. Okay, does anyone need any more time to review that document? Uh-oh, we caught Clifton having to manage something else. Okay, so any comments on this document before we move ahead? These are the recommendations that will follow your proposed adoption. Do you have anything, Clifton, or are we good?
He's put some stuff in the chat.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm slowly, it only lets me put so much, and I know it's hard to, it has to be shared to be on record. So I'm putting it in the chat so that it could be then possibly added to as a recommendation to that document. What I'm looking for from this is something along these lines. I'm not a special needs teacher. I'm not qualified as a special needs teacher. I'm experienced as a parent and teaching my son. But these are the things that I focus on, and these are the types of things that would have been extremely helpful as guidance for me if I was using this as if I was out there on my own and I didn't have a special needs teacher in my district. This is something I would like to see that goes along with these standards, if that makes sense to everybody.
okay, so we'll let the committee comment. Because they're grounded, some of them are grounded in this stuff and can better speak to the relationship between the two.
Yeah, Clifton, I appreciate everything that you put in here as some guidance, and from your perspective, that's just an authentic one that we all need to have, and part of why parents are part of the committee, right? And I think like this in collaboration with our special ed department will be really important in making sure that they have a special ed advisory committee too. And so having them just partner with us and making sure we have guidance documents to support it is wonderful. Thank you for your insights on it.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're ready to move on now, and I'd like to then just do the first two, and this is going to be the last time that I'm going to ask individually about consensus. So the first two things we worked on was to repeal the old, because if we didn't repeal the old, then we couldn't work on the new. So that is 10.53.401 through 10.53.413. So is there any disagreement with the repeal of the old standards? Okay. So then we began by looking at the literacy practices, and that's 10.53.414. Is there any disagreement with the literacy practice as proposed now for adoption by this committee? Okay, now I'm going to do the chunk around kindergarten through 5th grade. So this is 10.53.415 through 10.53.420. So is there any disagreement with the way these have been proposed, modified and proposed for adoption by this committee? And if you have a comment for review, which I know Marie will, I want you to give us the line that we can start working on. So any disagreement with the current proposed modifications? Marie.
Not a disagreement.
Okay.
I am satisfied that the accuracy component's a part of the fluency standard. And that's the ultimate goal, that they get to fluency reading so that they can build to comprehension. So I'm satisfied with it being in fluency standard B for all of them. And A. So I'm good on the others.
Hey, Aaron.
Did you say we're only looking at kindergarten, or are we doing all K-5?
All K-5, all K-5. And
Okay,
so
I did have one adjustment from a verb or from a noun to a verb in 3rd grade.
okay.
Line 12. Where it says encode, I think demonstrate encoding skills by encoding is what we were looking for there, so that it stays consistent with line 10 and 11.
And if there's any need for discussion around these, I'd like you to just let us know what it is. Otherwise, we're gonna ask for consensus around the whole thing with these small adjustments that are needed. So I assume that one got made. I have mine so tiny, I can't see it. Did you capture that one, Claire or Amy?
Sorry, no, I was working in the chat. Would someone repeat that for me, please?
Yep, so in line 12, I believe it should read encoding words and everything else stays the same, just so that all three of those are all encoding.
In the NRC doc?
Yes, this is in the ones we're coming to consensus on, and she said it's in 3rd grade. Amy, I think Amy probably has it up there
Yep,
for
sorry,
us.
3rd grade, line 12.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay, K through 5. Is there any disagreement with the language as modified and proposed by the NRC for adoption? Okay, let's look at middle school then. This is 5th, 6th, and 7th. That's 10.53.421 through 423. Is there any disagreement with the language as modified and proposed by the NRC for adoption? Okay. For high school, 10.53.424 through 10.53425. Is there any disagreement with the language as modified and proposed for adoption by this NRC? Okay, let's look at the glossary. Well done. Okay, and so it was my understanding that people were going to take some time yesterday evening to review this document. And so I am going to just leave it open for necessary comments, additions. McCall brought up something around definitions yesterday, so I want to make sure all of those things are addressed. I see Marie has her hand up to get us started.
Yeah, and this is why I'm glad McCall and Christy are here. On science of reading, that is not actually anywhere within the administrative rules, so I want to recommend moving that definition on row 23 to guidance document.
Okay, and if you have any disagreement, I'm just going to trust that you will raise your hand and we'll have the conversation as we deal with each one of these.
Jan, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I had this document because I was looking for the glossary and I thought maybe we would review it today, but it's okay. I
Okay.
don't want to spell anything. My request would just be based on what Marie just said. If there are any terms that do not exist within the rules, that we don't include them in a glossary. If there are terms that maybe need to be in the guidance document, I'm certainly fine with that, but I think that's just one of the many sort of rules of rulemaking that we should make sure we're sticking to.
Okay, so would you like that to make that a formal proposal and then they can just make note that this committee agrees that if there's anything that doesn't belong in or is not included in law, that it gets moved to guidance document? And we'll just check this committee out to move ahead with that as a recommendation by this committee. We don't want OPI to be doing a lot of stuff without guidance by this committee here. Is there any disagreement with McCall's approach to that? Okay, I'm seeing no disagreement with that, so I'm sure that's in the note. Did you get that in the notes over there, Claire and Amy? Yep, okay, perfect. Janelle and then Aaron.
Just a note, I know that I see agency on here, and I think we had discussed that that would go to guidance documents as well, that definition that we had talked about earlier. So that would be one that we move over to the guidance.
Are you wanting the glossary terms? Do you want to know what those are that aren't throughout, or is that your job on the back end to go through?
The ones that were recommended for the guidance document that, do we have those noted somewhere, Claire and Amy?
Yeah, I put a doc in the chat. The agency and tone, I think, I don't know how those got added there, but the formal proposals are in that document in the chat.
Okay.
So for instance, I didn't find phonology anywhere in the actual rules specifically. And then phonemic awareness is in the heading for kindergarten and first grade, but it's not actually in any of the rules. So I just didn't know if you wanted to know what those were to note right now, or if you're just planning to go back through it and find those.
Committee comments? How would you like to move ahead with Erin's comments?
Erin, those are great questions. I'm kind of thinking here as a committee what we can do. I feel that oh, McCall has her hand up, so maybe McCall. Oh, that was from before. Okay. I feel like I wouldn't mind having a bit of a discussion with this committee for around that too. Like obviously we see, okay, this showed up in the heading. Maybe then it needs a glossary definition because it's actually a heading on a whole section, right? So that might be one that we would want to have in here. But also some of these are, things that, do we need to have them in here, or could we move some more of them to guidance and really just keep a few key definitions in here? I just wanted to kind of have maybe some of those discussions as we're talking about this as well. So I just thought I would throw that out there to hear a little more from the committee on their thoughts on the importance of having this in as an administrative rule definition or glossary, and sort of where you as experts kind of land on that from your perspectives.
Erin?
I did.
And McCall, are you in? I'm sorry, your hand went back down. So you're okay? Okay.
I did go through the terms and went through the whole package to see where they were, and everything else feels like it is throughout pretty consistently as part of the rules. It was just those few, the three that have been mentioned that, and I'm completely fine with it being in the heading. I just was making it known that that's the only place it was noted. And then there's small changes again, like encode versus encoding, but I think people will understand what the difference is. I don't know that you need to get so into the weeds with that.
I remember some comments yesterday about the words strong and thorough. I noted them down under glossary, so I'm not sure what you folks, I just promised we'd come back to them when we talked about the glossary, so I wasn't sure what you wanted to do with them or nothing. I don't remember who brought it up yesterday.
That was me, Diane. I thought we should maybe be mindful if that's going to be included in the Common Core Common Core standards, that we recognize somehow it's tied in. But I'm not tied to anything.
Okay, so I guess go ahead, Crystal. And good morning, by the way.
Yeah, hello. I feel like if we're going to include it somewhere, it shouldn't be in the glossary, but in guidance. And I feel like I felt like that's what we maybe talked about yesterday, is that we would include like what strong and thorough looks like in different grade levels, or specifically to 11th and 12th.
Okay, any disagreement with that approach?
I
Okay,
did make a note of that in the guidance document as well.
thank you, Claire. Thank you.
Well, I think I would, maybe then, Erin, since you did such a great job of, finding that phonology actually isn't in the rules anywhere, I think we should strike that one from, from this glossary. I don't know that it says not in the rules, but I want to just make sure that I think I would put a proposal out to strike that from the glossary since it's not in there. So let's just take that out.
Any disagreement with that proposal? Okay,
It could go into guidance though, right? Having that, I mean, didn't want to say strike it out, but move it to guidance.
okay, so Claire and Amy, you're gonna capture that because I see lots of head shaking on the screen in agreement to having that in guidance. There it is. Thank you, Claire. Erin,
And I'm trying to remember a conversation around the word prosody. Barbara, you might be able to remind us. Did we say we wanted that in the guidance as well?
I thought we did say that.
Yeah, prosody comes in, I want to say 6th grade on the fluency standard. Yep. Before it's with expression.
okay, so I want to just double check so I make sure the whole committee's on the same page here. Is there any disagreement with moving prosody to a guidance document? Okay,
Are we also striking it from this?
not striking it from the glossary.
It appears in the standards, so I think it should stay in the glossary, but then guidance should have more specific information about what that means as students grow.
Christy?
I agree. So I think, if I'm understanding what we're saying, so we're making sure that we provide more support around this particular one in guidance, I think is what we're saying. Keep it here, but also make sure we really that it gets into the guidance. Okay, just clarifying. Thanks.
Want to make sure you have plenty of time to review this and have the conversations you need to. So I'm just going to leave it open for you to bring up items as they appear during your review. Does anyone need more time for review? I don't want to push you ahead unless you're ready. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone let me know they need more time, so I want to look at I want the whole package now I'm going to ask, and it includes the glossary. So this is literacy practices, K through 12, and the glossary, so it's the whole package. Is there any disagreement with this proposed language that's been modified for adoption, 10.53.414 through 10.53.426? Is there any disagreement? Christy?
I just want to make sure that visually, when I'm looking at what we're sort of making consensus on, we're striking the science of reading one. I just want to, I don't know if we need to strike through it in our visual document here or not. I know it says it in the notes, but we have phonology with the strike through just for our own, as we're making consensus, just for some, making sure that's accurately reflected. Thanks.
Sorry, Christy, I got distracted with that one.
No worries. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm not seeing any disagreement. Okay, you've come to consensus on your package. Well done. You worked really, really hard, and thanks for sticking in there for it. I mean, it really is a lot of work to have quite a number of people come together and listen to each other and learn from each other and come up with recommendations. And these are really important. I mean, this will guide the work and will affect the success of students in Montana. So thank you so much. Now we're going to look at, you know what, let's take 5 minutes and then we'll get into the economic impact statement. And so Amy, you'll have that pulled up onto the screen for us, I'll bet. So we'll see you in 5 minutes, quick break, and then we'll end with that economic impact statement. Weather's so nasty here, my little dog wouldn't even go out and go potty. He said, no way am I going out there in that mess. Hey. Welcome back. Give Amy a chance to pull back up the economic impact statement. I think we have a slide. Amy might not quite be back. Claire, do you happen to have the? Oh, she's here. She's here.
Sorry.
No, it's so okay. No worries.
This is the same information that's on the slide, Diane, so you were good.
Yeah, I just need to open mine up a little bigger so I can read it. I do have in front of me though that, you know, yeah, that's right. So, oh, I was thinking about where it notes what the rule is for why we have to do this. So I'm going to talk about that. And if I leave anything out, then maybe we need to pull something else up. But so the economic impact statement is the responsibility of the NRC to provide input to the agency. But the first thing you have to do is you have to make a decision about the proposed rules compared to those that were already in place. Do we need to do an economic impact statement because it will have an economic impact above and beyond the current rules? And so that's what this committee is looking at, rather than will this have an economic impact separate from, we already know we have an economic impact with the current rules in place for districts. So some of you who work in districts and know what those budgets are, folks from OPI, I would sort of expect you help each other as a committee understand the elements of that in your discussion. So the first question that we really need to ask is yes or no. Is there a need for the agency OPI to do an economic impact statement related to the rules that you have proposed for adoption? Marie?
Thank you. And I think it's a little bit, I think right now we need to ask if we need to do a survey, because we do have to do a statement regardless, even if we as a committee find that there shouldn't be an economic impact.
Yes,
I think it's
survey.
more, do we think these rule amendments will have an economic impact is where we start.
Okay.
And then McCall has her expertise working with legislators on what they expect from us. And we've learned a lot in the last year. So if you want to share anything, McCall, that'd be great.
Yeah,
Thanks,
sure.
Nicole.
Great. Yeah, I do think that based off of the economic impact statement that OPI prepared and presented to the committee, sort of this most recent one, I do think that that level of data and response is now what is basically like what's expected. So I do think that ensuring that whether it's this group or others in the field can basically share their expertise on this, and that the agency can also go through and from their point of view, see what that expected cost might be. I think that's really important. So I do think there's like another layer beyond this NRC is what I'm saying.
Any other comments? Okay, so there just has to be a majority of you who think that there needs to be a survey for the economic impact. And so put your hand up if you, okay, Justine has her hand up, McCall, Clifton. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we have a majority of people who do believe that a survey does need to be put out. And so let's pop up that, I think you've got it there already. I thought we were going to look at the impact statement that McCall just mentioned with math.
Yep,
I
those are
know that.
both linked in there.
Oh,
So
they
that
are.
one- Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So these are the questions that were on that survey that McCall referenced. And so we need, you folks need to decide. Christy, go ahead.
I can wait, Diane, until you're done.
Okay.
You're wanting to launch off a little bit of a discussion, but
Yeah, perfect.
just see what you're going to say.
So given that this is a good example of the types of survey questions, these were relevant for math, so it's a good format to look at in terms of asking yourselves, is this a question that is relevant with this particular topic? Are there any questions that are missing that we want to add? Are there any that we want to remove from this survey? So I think it would be important to look through those questions and have a chance to see, what do we want to keep and what do we want to remove? So, okay, Christy. Okay, thank you, Barb.
I was
Barbara.
sort of in a discussion sort of with the group on the economic impact. When I look at these standards kind of in comparison to the standards that we're revising from, I don't see huge economic impacts. I don't see huge shifts in change. I think just from my perspective, where I do sort of see it is in those early literacy grades, maybe more, there's a little bit more, sort of in these standards that may require maybe some shift of curricular materials or some more PD support for teachers. But I don't see that it goes largely outside of what school districts are already doing and expected to do with professional development and materials. But I do see that there could be some impact there. As we look at this math economic impact, the math in the high school in particular had some pretty large changes. So that's why you see a larger economic impact. I just don't anticipate that same economic impact for these standards. I think it's not quite as impactful because it is just part of as they move forward. I just wanted to start that conversation and have that frame as we're looking at these questions from an ELA lens.
Okay, thank you, Marie, and then Clifton.
Yeah, I was gonna more share the process, but so if Clifton wanted to go first, if anyone wanted me to do that, I can, because I learned a lot in last year and got to be the one that put this together. So this is the report that came from the questions, which we really tried to summarize what everyone was saying. And there is one question I want to recommend that we didn't have in the math one. And that is, has your district, or some form of this, has your district already set aside funds for ELA replacement? Because in the accreditation rules, 1055 something, I don't know that one by heart, it does say that districts are expected to renew their curriculum within I think it's 5 years of updating standards. And that's at the local level. They can either keep their curriculum, they just need to review it and make sure it's in alignment. So that is something we did not get the gauge on that I wanted to make sure we added into these questions.
Okay, so you would like to propose that gets added to this economic impact statement. Claire, can I assume you're getting that on a document somewhere for that, what to add to the survey?
Sorry. Yeah, it's in the notes section of that economic impact tab.
Okay, thank you. Clifton?
Yeah, I was just adding on the if it's gonna be put out by OPI and then reiterated in either district board meetings, or how are the parents being notified that this is going to be updated? And it's just, I know it's very it's very close to what was done before. I was just adding that portion. Is there a set guidance for being able to notify the public and the parents?
Okay, if someone could answer that for Clifton, and then we'll move on. I see Janelle has her hand up, and maybe Crystal. So I think probably Marie or Christy is best to respond to Clifton's.
Clifton, I just want to make sure you're asking about the notification of parents of the standards change or the notification of the opportunity to respond to the survey.
I guess it would be both.
Okay.
To be able to have some input in the survey would be great.
Yep.
But also as far as once it gets ready to be implemented, this is what's going to be taught, and it doesn't have to be direct to every single subject, but just overall, like the subject's changing. This is what we expect, and that there's transparency from the district to the parents on how they're implementing it.
Gotcha. So first for the survey, you can see here that there were parent responses, taxpayer responses, community responses. So it's available for anyone to respond to the survey. It's an open survey, so you can see that, for this math impact, there were some parents. We would love, of course, to have more. It's posted on our website. We share it out with districts and ask districts to share out with their communities too. So that's sort of for the survey. And again, similarly for the standards, Clifton, as the Board of Trustees and districts are responsible to ensure that their curriculum and their instruction are following the standards. And so as the standards change, they're, responsible for updating that and reviewing those curricular materials and sharing out with the families. But anything that we can do, from the OPI to make that, even more robust for parent communication, we absolutely do and try to keep that communication open.
Just to add to that, I'm wondering about if McCall or those of you who work for OPI, what is actually available online, accessible always, on your websites that Clifton or another parent could just jump on.
Yeah, I
So
can jump
McCall?
in. Oh,
Yeah.
either one.
Oh, go ahead, Marie.
So if you go to the revisions page on the website, that's on the front page, every time we post a link, it's always public access. So anyone could have jumped in and listened into us today, and it'll be posted. The survey will be posted there also. We tried a lot of mechanisms to get it to the public. It's been in press releases. It's been on the website. We've directly emailed every superintendent in the state. And so we don't have access to everyone in that manner, but we try, like, hey, if you want to forward it out to your groups, forward it out. We want all the information we can get.
And McCall?
From the Board of Public Ed perspective, once it comes to us, it's pretty final once the board goes out, unless there's comments. So we have it posted on our webpage as well, directions on how to submit public comment. There's also opportunities at our board meetings to give public comment. It's also, because it's part of the Montana Administrators Procedures Act, or MAPA, they have a whole registry of rules that are changing within the state. That's where you can go find any rule by an agency that's being updated or revised. That's called the Montana Administrative Register, and that's operated by the Secretary of State. So that website is actually sort of where all of the official rules are in one place. Each agency also has the, we also have to then put it out and publicize it on our own websites.
Thank you, McCall. While you have an agreement to not oppose these rules, now that you have consensus, that does not mean that you can't make public comment, to the Board of Public Education, when they have public comments open. For instance, Clifton, you may want again say, thinking about some students that might need more help. There's nothing wrong with you promoting and making more people aware of that. So that's not opposing the rules. So you have other opportunities to do that too. So Janelle and Crystal. Oh, it muted you for some reason, Janelle.
I was muted and unmuted.
Yep.
I just have two things. One of the things I really like, what Marie said about has your district set aside funds, because I think in our minds, we're coming back to back with two huge areas of change. And even if the change isn't big, it's two huge content areas. And just from the perspective of my small schools, they probably have not set aside money probably, they don't have money to set aside. So the issue is not whether they've done it, it's just that they don't have it. So I think we need to keep that in mind, that this is two huge areas back to back. So that's going to be, I think, an issue for our schools. And I do think what Christy said is that professional development is going to be a big part of this. And so that's going to take some time. So even if the cost isn't physically books or materials, I think there's a lot of professional development that's going to be part of that. The other piece is that I would hope that like agencies like mine and some others in the state could also put this out so that it gets to the teachers who are actually on the ground, because many of our schools don't have administrators in the building that are there weekly or monthly or whatever, but that they could actually answer these questions as well.
Crystal?
Yeah, I was just gonna respond to Christy's comment, and it seems like Janelle sort of covered it, but I do think the one place that we added in with this new standards is that we extended that foundational reading standard 6 through 12. And so what Janelle was saying about like the professional development piece of it, specifically in that area, will be something that we should be considering.
Okay, any other comments before we look at the questions? Okay, we'll have them pull those up for us.
So the survey link is the Qualtrics survey, Amy. And then this is a copy paste of the old one, so anyone can go in and enter anything and it's not gonna hurt anything.
Okay, so they can modify these as we go through them then, I think is what you're saying. Oh, you're muted.
No, not directly in it, but we'll take notes and amend it. This is just a
Perfect.
copy of the old math one, so it's okay
Okay.
if we enter things. It won't ruin any data collection.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. That's what I was hoping for, is that purpose, so that people understood what they were doing there. That's great.
And then Amy, if you want to click on that survey, this is what we hope everyone will read before, because otherwise you're like, I don't know how much it's going to cost. I don't know what you guys did. So that's a PDF that we will create, the team will create after we're done with this process. That really gives a huge overview. I think it's like 200 pages, which is a lot. We know that, but it's a lot of work. And it shows the redlining of the standards of what they were and what they are now. Now, this situation is different than math because we did not amend as much as we did with math. It was more scratch and start over. But if you go through there, you can see the rationale from not only task force to the negotiated rulemaking committee, the overall structural changes, the history and the research that we talked about when we did orientation, the whole process, so that anyone that is like, hey, what did Montana do for their math standards? They have access to the process from beginning to end.
Clifton is loving that.
Oh yeah, and your names will all be in it.
Okay, shall we take a look at those survey questions now then?
You just need to go back, Amy. It opened in the same one. Thanks, friend. And so you notice probably on all the documents we sent you that there's specific area questions that we need to ask. Of course, we need demographics of who the people are that are responding, so it can help us demonstrate to the Board of Public Ed and legislators, like we try to get a good collective sample.
These are all required, right? I mean, so we don't have to ask, do we want them or not want them? These are going to be things that are required in order to
Yep.
have a.
Can you
Okay.
scroll down and go next? I don't know if you need to enter. I tried to turn that off, but. And we did add this one to our latest version. Sorry, you can type it in. The class of the school sizes, including non-class elementary, because a non-class elementary has very different responses than a K-12 district would, and a AA district, and all those pieces. And I know Aaron's like, yeah, we need different things. So we try to really, in that report, you'll see that we summarized it for each of those areas, because you'll see in the Class C, they need a lot more staff. Like they've been short staffed for years. In the AA, that wasn't a common theme throughout those. So in this, you'll see that there's different, will there be costs to the update? Yes, sure, unknown. And then we also went into estimated costs because that was the hardest part. So we surveyed a few different districts that just updated, said, hey, how much did it cost? We use those averages. You'll see there for K5, 150, 6-8, 150, 9-12, $200. And then we said yes, yes, or no too low, no too high, or no cost. And then gave the opportunity to be like, what would it be? So like when Janelle speaks of the small schools, sometimes there's minimum payments, even if they only have 20 students in there, they still have a larger cost per student. So we love that, getting that information and making sure that's noted within the report itself. You might have to click things again. I'm sorry, Amy.
Okay, so we want to, Janelle?
I'm just back on like question 8 in the form we're looking at. So is there any way to make a box that's like multi-grade? I mean, you have the grade bands, but we have a lot of schools that are K8, you know, they're the multi-grade one room kind of schools. So
Yeah, that's a great, we can add that box for sure. One room schoolhouse type multi-age classrooms. Yep. Thank you, Janelle. Great point.
For question 8.
Yep.
So as we're going through and looking at these, if there's disagreement with having that question on the survey, that's where we need your insight about, I don't think this question is in particular is relevant to you know, English language arts and literacy rules. Let's see, Erin and then Christy.
I have a question about number 8 as well. When it says, please indicate the grade bands you serve. If I'm a parent, that question maybe doesn't seem, I mean, unless you're just, these are the kids, the age range of my students, but
You can open up that, how that is, that are, yeah. Thank you. That's good.
Did we take care of that then? I'm not seeing
Claire's
it on my
taking
screen.
notes.
So.
We can't edit
perfect.
this. Claire's
Okay,
taking
perfect.
notes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Christy?
I would say, for Erin's comment, I might just say, please indicate the grade bands you are responding about, or you know, something like that, so that it's clear. You know, a curriculum director could come in and maybe answer for a couple of different grade bands if they wanted to, or a parent could choose the grade bands of their students, so that we know what this is responding to, those grade levels. That might solve that. And then I had a question on just some clarifying language for, oh, I don't know if I can get there. It was in one of the, it was in the last page, I think. So, and talking about sort of those curricular materials and those changes, I think I would like to add just some language in the question, just to make sure when we get to the part of the curricular change, that reiterating that the changes of these standards would require more money. So I think I want to clarify that a little bit. For math, there were a lot of changes, so we sort of knew, but I think for this, just really reiterating that the changes to the standard requiring that amount. So just keeping that language somewhat consistent in some of those questions, I think would be important. And I'm not seeing it here, but I think it was a page back.
Hey, Tawny, did you have some input?
I had a question, but I answered it myself. Thank you, though.
Well done. Okay. So. Okay, so as we're scrolling through here, it's a yes on these questions unless you say otherwise. And if you need them to scroll a little slower, just go ahead and speak out.
For the, maybe can you scroll back to the top? Sorry, Amy. I wonder if that question, sort of like in continuity with what I was saying earlier, please share details on staffing in regards to the changes, the proposed changes of the EL state standards. Like we have it here in question 10, but I think I would maybe say, kind of keep that language up there. Just a thought.
You're keeping focused on the change between the rules as opposed to this as something that's all brand new, has never been done before. Is that okay?
Yes, thanks, Diane.
Christy, can you repeat how you phrased that?
Please share details on, I would say something like potential staffing, staffing changes or implications. Yeah. Due to the changes in these ELA standards. Does that make sense? Thanks, Claire.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, shall we scroll down here? Okay. Okay, we're going to scroll unless someone stops us. And anywhere that it says others, if you want to make any adjustments to these, now's the time to provide your insight. Karen.
I have the printout and I was looking at question 19 and I don't know if this is, you'll probably fix this, but in the responses that people can choose, it says will there, will be. There's just an additional will that needs to be taken out of all 4 of those.
You said 19.
Yep, it's question 19 under curriculum resources.
You want me to move ahead to that one or just wait till we get there?
No, that's okay. And I think Claire's probably already noted that. So yep, she's thumbs up. So. Janelle. I'd unmute you if I could.
Sorry,
That's
I did.
okay.
For timeline, do we have a proposed timeline? I believe we do. And do we need to put it in this part so that they know what that is?
It is in the summary document. However, there's potential this timeline will change. Also, I'm guessing that the Board of Public Ed may look at extending a year so we don't have these 2 huge sets all starting July 26th with much different timelines. This one's more in regard to the economic impact of the time that it will take to implement these. So the timeline would be helpful there. It just could change is my only, and we can just clarify, like this could change based on Board of Public Ed ruling. Yep.
Aaron.
I'm looking back at question 11 and it says, please share any information you find relevant to share when it comes to staffing for your school/district. I'm wondering if I know it's referencing the question prior, but I'm wondering if it needs a little more context so that people know what they're responding to, and if it could be broader so it includes parents and other respondents.
Thanks, Amy. And I don't think that's for this group to come up necessarily with the wording for that, but I think that if Claire has that noted, then that input noted. Any other comments about 11? Okay. We'll go ahead and move ahead. Okay, are there any questions that are missing that you would like to add to this survey? Any other insights that you'd like to share? Erin?
I just had one thought about assessment. I don't know if I was looking back through again to see if there was a question that discusses assessment and if that would be of impact. I don't know if it's necessary, but
So just open for discussion with the committee? Okay.
Yep.
I think that would be within the curricular resources, but we could highlight including intervention materials, assessment materials, and things like that, just to kind of clarify that a little bit more.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sure Claire has that. Okay, any other insights or any questions that you believe are missing that need to be added? Okay, I can hardly believe it, but I think we're ready for a closure. Okay, well done. Okay, so let's start this way. We're just going to do a closure. I'd like you to just, talk about how you feel about the work you've had together with this committee and any additional parting insights that you'd like to give each other before you head out. You probably won't be together exactly this group again. So let's see, let's do Nicole and then Tawny and then Christy. Nicole might have had to step away. So Tawny, you're up. She's, yay, I want to be first.
Yeah, nothing like going first. No, this has been a really fun experience going through and reading all of these. So I appreciate the input that everybody has and everybody listening to what I've had to say as well. So I appreciate that. And I'm excited to see what we come up with at the end. So thank you.
Yeah. So Christy, then Aaron, then Jody.
I echo that, Tawny, and I just want to say it's been such a wonderful process to be here listening to this group. And one thing that I feel really heartened about is the impact on students, right? We're here for the students. And so throughout all of our days together, talking about what does this actually mean for students? What does it mean for educators and supporting their students? And, having that very strong connection to the reason that we're doing this is for our students here and to help them have the best education, the best support for learning to read as possible. And that's been just a really wonderful process to be part of with all of you. So I've looked forward to all of our meetings and just thank you for your thoughtfulness, your sincerity, and just really wonderful work on these.
I echo that as well. This has been really enjoyable. I kind of chuckled at the beginning when we first met with Diane, and she said, this is going to be really fun. And I was thinking, it seems like it's going to be really intense, but it actually was really enjoyable. I had a great time meeting everybody and working with people from across the state. That was enjoyable. I think, like what Christy was saying, these are really usable standards that I am excited to get in the hands of teachers so that we can impact students positively. I think that we've done really thoughtful and valuable work together, and I'm just really grateful to be a part of this committee. huge thank you to OPI for all the background work. I know you guys put in a ton of time to get this ready for us. And McCall, it was great to have you as an addition to the team the last 2 days. So glad that you could be a part of it. And of course, Diane, thank you for facilitating the whole thing. It was really helpful. I think I'm so impressed that we got through it before 12:30 today.
This has been an incredible experience for me. From the teacher preparation perspective, we're introducing these standards to our teachers and, how to go about implementing them with their students. And, being part of this process, I really get to have that conversation about why these decisions were made and how they're important. And, the guidance documents and all of these different resources that we can use and help our new teachers that are going into the classroom be ready to teach these standards. And then I think on the other side, it's just been a great experience for me to see all the support that they're going to have when they get out in the field. So all of the support from OPI, the different school leaders across the state that are going to be supporting new teachers as they implement these standards. And then I think just it affirms the work that we do as educators from, kindergarten all the way through to our college students who are getting ready to be teachers, that student outcomes and student success are the driver of everything we do. And this process, I think, was indicative of that. So thanks, McCall. Diana, thank you especially for, keeping us all together and on track. As teachers know, and here I am, doing it as well, but we talk a lot. And so to keep us focused and actually get the job done, kudos. So thank you for allowing me to be part of this process.
Okay, I'm going to give you 4 in a row. I want to capture Crystal because I know she's traveling. So Crystal, then Clifton, Justine, and then McCall.
I agree with Erin when I kind of chuckled too when Diane said, "Oh, this is so fun," and I was like, "This seems very tedious," and it has been enjoyable. I feel like I know the standards so much better because I was a part of this, and I can go out and support educators more efficiently. I feel like having these new standards for English teachers, especially like new people coming into the field, like these are so much more tangible. And so I just want to give a shout out to the committee before us that worked so hard on them, because I think they did a really great job of taking a bunch of standards and making them just combining and choosing the best wording. So we were working with, making our jobs easier too. So yeah, thank you guys all. And I'm sorry, Dan, but I'm very thankful we're also done.
Well, I share very similar sentiments with everyone. It's been a very rewarding experience. I've had the pleasure of this is being my second committee now with OPI. I've really enjoyed seeing how this process works. I've been sharing this with folks in my community. When they ask, "Hey, what you up to?" This is one of the standout things. I've been very proud to be on this committee with you folks. I really appreciate you accepting my perspective, as well as your professionalism. Everyone's done a great job, and I'm really impressed with how OPI has done this process. So thank you.
Thank you all. I'm sorry my camera's not working, so this feels a little weird. It's really been a pleasure to collaborate and just build out these standards, clarity for our teachers, and just have a shared understanding of what we're moving forward with. Like Christy said, in the name of students and even our teachers too. Their professional learning will come from this. So just fun to be a part of it. I do enjoy this stuff. So when Diane mentioned we're going to have fun, I was like, yep, we are. And Diane, you do a fabulous job. It's always fun to be part of your working groups. And thank you to the OPI and McCall for joining. It was a pleasure to work with you all. And I hope we can stay in contact. It's always fun to continue to grow our collegial circles, because I know I'm learning a lot and it's fun to have resources. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks for letting me jump in late. Really appreciated that. I also just want to thank all of you. I know how much time and energy it takes to put all of this together. And I honestly think that the Board of Public Ed has the easy end of this because once it comes to us, it really just goes through a process that we don't get to dictate. And so we very much recognize that the hard work is all done by you educators and folks at OPI, and just really want to thank you all again for your work and continuing to do the work. Because it seems like we have these just continuing to come to us as new rules and content areas. So just want to say thank you again to all of you.
Okay, Marie, Janelle, and Nicole.
Yeah, so I was digging back through emails to see when we started like this set of standards, and it's been about 14 months on our end of work and just starting the process of looking at the research and going through. And it's just, I love that what you all worked on and the task force worked on is true to the intent of why we needed to revise in the first place. It's following the latest research, and you've done it in a way that it makes sense to educators, parents, everyone. Like a student can go in there actually and like understand, hey, this is all I need to do, not the 17 substandards that were there before. So thank you to my team. This has been our baby that we've been carrying for a long time, and we will continue for a long time. And I'm just really excited for the next steps and so appreciative of the expertise and the passion in this Zoom room. But it's fun to pass on the good work that you are all doing and just get to be a part of the process on my end too. I really, really enjoy it. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Just to reiterate what everyone has said, thank you to everyone. I think that the task force and Marie and OPI gave us a really good document to start with, so it made our jobs easier. And I think that this is a usable document and usable and understandable. So I think that's going to be really important down the road. Thank you to Diane for being facilitator. And I just hope that we get to see this finished product at some point and see how it all looks all put together. So looking forward to that. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, and I think Nicole might have had to slip off. So Claire and Amy, if you'll close out with this group you've been supporting for the last several weeks.
Yeah, I agree with everything everyone else has said. This has been a lot of fun, and I didn't really know what it was going to be like going into it. And I was a little nervous, but it was just fun the whole time to look at all of the details of the language. And I really appreciate everyone's expertise, and it's really cool to see like all the different things regarding English that you are all passionate about and experts in. And the document is like such a collaborative effort and reflection of that. So it's really cool what you came up with, and I think it's really usable and going to help teachers. So I'm excited, and I'm excited to keep working with these. We don't have any public comment, Marie, but also thank you to Marie and Amy who have supported me through this first NRC session of mine. And Diane, thank you for facilitating as well.
And I'll just close out by saying thank you so much to everyone. It has been just an honor to see this process from the beginning to the end. And it sometimes I was like, what's happening here? And other times I'm like, go, go, go. But you know, to be quiet. As the face of professional learning for Montana, I'm very proud of what you have put together. And I can't wait to show this to teachers, to help them implement it in their classrooms. And like Jody said, to have that true understanding of why these decisions were made and to be able to have those discussions and conversations and really bring people to where we want kids to get to learn. So I just want to thank you so much. This work is so important and so valuable, and you did a tremendous job.
Well, thanks, you guys. Thanks for caring enough about public education there in Montana, and the kids that are affected by it, and the families that are affected by it, and those who work in schools to support it. I'm a mother of 4, 3 adopted kids and a birth child, and I was a sole parent. So public education was really, really important to me. So I'm moved to see it was intense and it was fun, but the care for which you work together to land in the right place to move this to the Board of Public Education so that they don't have to do a bunch, so that it isn't a mess when it gets there. It's the right work done the right way, and absolutely an honor to work with people who really stay in a professional space so you can think at your highest level and land on solutions that are right. And so I'm just really honored to have been confirmed by this committee to be your facilitator. And thank you for letting me be a little pushy at times. I know that sometimes it's not easy to have another adult in the room bossing people around. And oftentimes when I was young, I was, doing that. But now I'm a little older, so it helps to have some white hair. We'll have some notes to be handled after this. And so let's talk about how we're going to do that. We don't have to get back together for you to approve those notes. They will be sent to me for review and approval. And then I will ask OPI to send those out to you, ready for then your approval. What that will mean is unless you have something for edits, then your approval will be by no response. So you can say, yes, I approve, or not respond, or give a thought for an edit, for which then they will send it back to us. So I'm going to officially ask for public comment so that Claire can state there is no public comment, so that it's on the official record.
There is no public comment.
Okay. Thank you. So those notes turnaround time probably within a couple of weeks. Yep. Okay. And that'll all be done by email then. So I think we can turn you loose. Is there anything else from OPI that this group needs to know? Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Pat yourselves on the back. That's a big deal. You just came to consensus on a lot of really hard work. So go out with the energy of that to use the rest of your day, because you're going to need it, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Okay,
everyone.
we can turn the recording off.